What up? What up? What up? What up?
Yo, 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 yo.
And once again, we back for another week of Let's Talk About It. And we got what is this? This is the fourth episode of Road to Championship, man.
Man, I don't know. Things been heating up though. Things been heating up. This guest we got on today. Woo!
He one of the ones. One of the
Yeah.
ones. So when we talk about posing, if this man name isn't in the conversation, you guys aren't having a real conversation.
Hey, that's a
So
fact.
so Jamal already, gave him a shout out. So we had to reach out very far, like, hey man, where you been? We need you. And hey, he delivered. But a few accolades I
It
know,
took him
like
a
I
couple
said.
times. Hey, it took him a couple times now.
Hey, but I knew about this guy for a very long time. When I used to compete, everybody used to try to force me to classic, and I even had posts when people like go to classic, go to classic, go to classic. But then there were always guys that, and this was before you even came over to the OCB. There was guys that was already in the OCB, or already competing at that was like running classic. One of the guys, I think his name was not the new Angelo, but there was another Angelo that was
hmm
taller. He had a sick physique. Then there was Joe Lacerra, man. Joe Lacerra, now, posing wise, he was still growing at that time. I think, heck, I'll be talking about I'm a spring chicken, but I think he's younger than me. But he was blooming, like going. And then I know he's been winning other titles in other federations and other organizations. He don't shy away from comp. He the 2020 Mr. America champion, He was on TV, lights, camera, action. We're gonna show y'all a picture of him real quick. Just look at the picture.
Whoa, shit.
Hey, ain't shy on the conditioning either, but we're gonna bring him on, have this conversation. So Joe Lacerra, welcome to the room.
What's going on, fellas? Thank you guys for having me. I appreciate you.
Hey, man, thank you for joining us, Joe.
Absolutely.
So we always ask first and foremost, we always try to do you justice, but then we can only say but so much. So we want you to introduce yourself to the people who don't know who Joe Lacerra is. I know they probably hopefully seen a clip of your posing at least once or twice, hopefully. But who is Joe Lacerra, man?
Oh boy, you love these podcast intros where you have to talk about yourself. So, for anybody that doesn't know me that's watching the podcast, my name is Joe Lacerra. First and foremost, I'm a husband and father. So, I'm father to a beautiful baby girl who's going to be a year and a half in about a week. And then coupled with that, I am the owner of Real Training, which is my training company that expands both in person and online. So I'm an in-person coach to numerous people, whether it be Gen Pop and then bodybuilders online as well. And then coupled with that, I am a natural pro competitor, competed in all three different divisions throughout my competitive career, earning my first pro card in 2017 in the OCB, and have since competed in the AMBF, the WMBF. So I like to expand to different federations and different organizations, and I've settled pretty much on classic physique as my category of choice, but that doesn't mean to say I won't dabble into something like bodybuilding depending on the organization I compete in. So I love the sport. I love everything that it's about. And yeah, that's pretty much me.
Gotcha. Well, we're gonna hop straight into the questions, man. So, I mean, even if you move left or right, man, you can't even hide the stuff back there. You can't hide all the trophies and the accolades you already have. But what got you into bodybuilding? And then we'll probably get further into like the championship series stuff.
So what got me into bodybuilding initially was, and I think like a lot of us, the need for a competitive outlet post either another sport or activity. So my background, first and foremost, is in martial arts. I earned my 4th degree black belt in Tung Sudo throughout about 15 years of training. I started at age 5, pretty much retired, if you'll say, from martial arts around age 20, just because life got busy. I was going to school full time, I was working full time, and just couldn't keep up with everything. And I kind of achieved everything I wanted to achieve, because in that art, that's technically you're a master black belt at that point. So I sort of hung my hat on everything I wanted to do there. And already at the time, I had started working as a personal trainer in conjunction with managing the gym that I was at, and just took an interest into bodybuilding at that point in terms of another personal endeavor. And I draw a lot of parallels between martial arts and bodybuilding, because both of them are individual sports with the presence of a brotherhood, sisterhood. So in martial arts and bodybuilding, all the work's on you. You have to do everything yourself, whether it be the training, just the overall discipline of it. It's all on you at the end of the day, but you still have that camaraderie. So it's different from maybe coming from a team sport where you have each other and you're on the field or on the court at the same time. In martial arts and in bodybuilding, you're the one doing the training. And even if you're going, through things with other people, it still is all on your shoulders, whether you succeed or not. But you still have that camaraderie and that grouping around you that is able to kind of give you spirit. But I love it. It's all on your shoulders.
Hey, so y'all hear that? Y'all don't go messing with Joe. He's a black belt. He'll whoop your butt now.
Long retired though, man. Long retired.
Hey, Joe. So I just want to ask you a question about Mr. America. Obviously, you won that in 2020, and us as natural athletes, we don't get the recognition I guess we think we deserve when we win these big shows. But I think it was either 2020 or 2021, Mr. America, it was televised. They flew y'all out. They done all types of campaigns for you guys. Like, how was that feeling, man, coming off that big win and being able to do all that?
Fantastic experience, man. So that was the 2021 Mr. America. Obviously, I was fortunate enough to capture the 2020 Mr. Classic Physique America title. And then in 2021, since we were out of the COVID year, really, it was able to be promoted a lot more heavily. So Mark, the promoter, flew a lot of us out to various locations, one being the Gold's Gym in Crofton, which is an official Mr. America training center. We also flew out to Gold's Venice, got to tour all of that. It was really just a surreal experience. And from the production crew to, just the level of care that went into us from a promotional standpoint was a surreal opportunity to be a part of. And like you said, bodybuilding, especially on the tested side and the natural side, maybe doesn't get as much public recognition as it deserves, because let's be honest, when it comes to athletics, a lot of people are looking for that freak factor and looking for that wow factor, and that's totally understandable. But obviously, the work is no different than what we put into somebody who's maybe an untested athlete. So I do believe we deserve that recognition, and to be able to get that was awesome. So being a part of that group was really, really cool.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. And I just got to get a compliment. I know we said it in the intro, but you are a professional. And when I say that, we always talk about how being a professional bodybuilder entails everything. You got to encompass all the characteristics. Like, you got to come in shape. I've never seen you come in a show out of shape. You know how to pose, and I think that's where I'm more so leaning towards, because I have seen you in your off season, in season practice posing more than just about anybody I know, right? So where do you get your inspiration for your posing, and why do you pose so much?
That's a great question, to be honest. I'll address the second one first when it comes to why pose so much, because to me, there's two things you can directly control as an athlete when it comes to actually prepping for a show. Of course, obviously, you can control how much muscle you have, but eventually everybody's going to reach a certain cap or a ceiling, and then there's certain obvious genetic factors that come into play there. Not using those as a crutch or an excuse, but different muscle insertions or how a muscle is shaped. You can't change that. That's, by the grace of the good Lord and mom and dad, as far as what you have there. The two things you can directly control as an athlete with respect to your prep is your conditioning and your posing presentation. Those are two things that are all is in your court. And you can control how lean you get, and you can control how you present your physique on stage, because it doesn't matter if you build the best body in the gym. If you don't know how to present it correctly, it doesn't mean you're automatically going to walk in and win. And there was points in time earlier on in my bodybuilding career where I did lose to people that I knew I had a better physique with respect to the criteria, but I was just outposed. And then I just vowed that would never happen again. I would never lose a show based on posing and presentation. And that doesn't only go into the aesthetic of posing, because a lot of people see the cool shots. They see the twisting Arnold back pose that you share in the beginning and things like that. And they think that you have to do that. It's about just nailing your quarter turns on stage, nailing the basics and the foundation stuff, not shaking, obviously being able to hold your composure, like you said, being up there like a professional, and not exhibiting signs of fatigue or shakiness or nervousness or anything like that. And it's a scenario where I don't practice until it's perfect. I practice until I can't get it wrong, and that is at the point where you still keep going from there. So it honestly just came down to that's one of the two controllables, in my opinion, when it comes to a prep. And I vowed that I would never leave that on the table.
Absolutely. Like Eric said in the beginning of the show, I gave you kudos a couple weeks ago when we was shooting the episode. You're actually one of the guys when I was coming up in the classic game. Like you're one of the guys that actually watch pose. I'm like, damn, this guy can actually pose his ass off, you know? So kudos to you, man. You're doing a great job. And off of that, I just want to
Did
ask
that.
you this question. Do you think amateurs are putting more time into their individual routines than they do the mandatories, and which one is more important? Because I see a lot of amateurs putting more time into their individual routines than they do their actual mandatory posing.
That's a good one. And I would have to say that amateurs and even professionals should put the utmost time and emphasis on their group comparison mandatories, and even to baby step beyond that, just their simple foundational quarter turns. Because like I said, everybody wants to hit the cool, super classic shots, the twisting back poses, the split stance stuff. Everybody wants to do the hard stuff, and they do that without the foundationals. It's like if you look at any other sport, in basketball, they still have a layup line before every game when they're warming up, and every player warms up their jump shot with free throws and different things. I'm not a basketball guy, so don't quote me on any of this, but it's not neglecting the basics, right? But I think in bodybuilding, people want that flash and that flair, whether it be because it's a byproduct of social media or they just want to imitate their favorite athlete, which is great, and that's all fine and dandy. But you could have this banging routine, but if you don't nail your quarters and your mandatories first, quite frankly, the judges aren't going to be interested in your routine at that point. And I felt this way from, sitting on a panel before, and that's not to say I'm not watching that person's routine, but, to be honest, if you don't hit your quarters and your mandatories properly, I almost look at it, you need to earn your routine, right? So if you don't know how to pose correctly in that beginning, basic, foundational stuff, you don't earn the right to do a fancy, flashy routine. And you have to work your way to that, and it's okay to try new things and to experiment with stuff. So I don't want to discourage anybody from trying those poses, but it's just making sure you don't lose the forest for the trees, and you have to make sure you nail that basic stuff first as you're coming up through the ranks.
Gotcha. And I'm going to drift a little bit to the right on this because you have a list of things that you said you are, right? And you're a coach, you're a father, you're a husband, you're all these things, right? And I'm pretty sure that can resonate with a lot of the guys or even women whose mothers and who work and do all these other things. What's your biggest advice when prepping to manage all of the other things that you have to deal with in life as well?
That's a beautiful question. So, and I speaking on this comes from a place of me prepping before when I didn't have all of those things versus now when obviously life is more busy, but since that point my processes have then improved. But at least for me, and I don't know if other people can speak to this, but just me as a person, Joe as a bodybuilder functions a lot better when I put the bodybuilding down on the hierarchy list. And I know that sounds counterintuitive because, of course, in this day of social media, everyone's, who's going to carry the boats? You got to be on the grind 24/7. And that's not to say that I'm missing workouts, missing my steps, missing my meals. Okay, sleep might be a little hindered because, we've got a 1-year-old. Okay, whatever, that is what it is. But in the times where bodybuilding has been this number one priority, I'll give you a great example, the 2021 Mr. America show. So I was coming off winning in 2020. 2020 was the COVID year. Really, I was prepping, not even knowing the show would happen. I was just kind of under the hope that it would, and it ended up happening, which was great. But at the time, I owned a gym. We were trying to, get that reopened, and we just had so much stuff going on that the bodybuilding prep almost just kind of happened on the back burner because I just made sure my meals were ready. I got my workouts in when I could, and it just sort of happened. And it was a very smooth prep, all things considered. And we were also, my wife and I were getting ready for our wedding in the next month. So it's just, I had so much shit going on that I didn't even realize that I was prepping almost. And then in 2021, so much emphasis came on defending the title that bodybuilding took a leapfrog on the hierarchy list, and there was all this pressure behind it. And, sometimes pressure is a good thing, but in that respect, for me, the fact that bodybuilding was such a heightened focus priority, it made other areas in my life suffer. And then eventually for that prep, the bodybuilding, although I would say the prep and the production aspect of it was fun, but the aftermath of it, I wasn't as satisfied because I let bodybuilding be on this pedestal and control my life. And then kind of coming back to 2022, which was my last season where I competed, my wife was pregnant, and we were doing all these things, and I was so focused on making sure she had what she needed. Again, it was another super smooth, easygoing prep because I was so outwardly focused on everything else. That's what I tell other competitors is, look, at the end of the day, while this is very important to me, and it's important to us, and I of course want to win every show that I do, and I want to do well, and I want to be the best competitor that I can be. Me winning a show or not is not going to change the fact that I'm still a husband and father. I'm still a family member and a friend. I still am a business owner and a coach, and all these things have to be taken care of first before Joe can be the bodybuilder. Because if Joe's the bodybuilder before all of those things are going to ultimately suffer, and then my life isn't going to be what it's supposed to be. And yes, I am a bodybuilder, and I'm super passionate about that. And you could argue, yeah, it does kind of directly relate to my business, because if I win high-level shows, yeah, that's a nice little marketing tool. But again, it's not going to supersede all those other factors. And I've just found for keeping stress super low, because of course as we get super lean, it's a stressful endeavor. So the more I focus on other areas and aspects of my life, the more bodybuilding just becomes sort of something that happens, and it's just an easier prep overall.
Well, listen to Joe speaking the real. Joe is speaking the real. That was great, dude. Listen, I was going to tear up a little bit over here. I was like, dang. All right, so you mentioned pressure, man. You've been off for a year or two now. You won Mr. America back in 2020. So you feel there's no pressure going back into that stage this year, or to that particular show this year, Mr. America. Is there any pressure on you?
Not on me, man. If people want to think that there is pressure on me, they can, or that they want to induce pressure to have a cool social media post, they can by all means do so. Like if they want to superimpose me next to Jay Wright and say like, hey, 2 Mr. America champs going at it again, and we want to fuel some fire for social media to make a cool post out of it, I'm all fine with that. But there's no pressure on me, man. This is because, like, at the end of the day, like, this shit is super fun for me, and I love competing for me. I don't compete for any other reason than to do that, because quite frankly, at this point in my coaching career, I don't need to compete to run my business. If I stopped competing right now and I said the prep's off, I'm not going to compete, my coaching business will still thrive and survive, and I'll still be able to grow that as a whole. So I don't need to compete for any other reason than just my own personal joy and love of it and love of the game. So no, there's absolutely no pressure at all.
Absolutely.
Gotcha. Jamal, you got any questions in the tuck before I go to the 3 rapid fires, or you got another question?
Well, what's your rapid fires?
I can't say them and then
go into all right, yeah, Joe. I got some rapid fires too, Joe, for you. All right, you ready?
Oh,
let's get it.
Drake or Kendrick Lamar?
Kendrick, 100%, dude.
Beyonce or Taylor Swift?
Beyonce.
One classic competitor you'll love to stand on stage with?
You, dude. Come on, man.
Come on, man. Hey, I
Stop it.
appreciate
That's
that.
an easy answer. That's an easy answer. You make me want to re-earn my OCB Pro card just so I can have some fun with you, man.
Come on, man. Come on. That's all I got, E. It's on you.
All right, so mine are, favorite song that you pose to?
Wow, that's tough. Good Lord.
Or it can be a future song that you plan to pose to.
I think Joe is half black, to be honest with you.
so there's a shtick behind this. One, I'm not giving you anything I'm going to pose to this year, because that would give away the farm. And I also never repeat the same routine twice. I've never repeated a posing routine on stage. Even if in the same season they're 2 weeks apart, I'll never repeat, because I want a fresh routine for every show. Once it's shown once, it's like a magic trick. you can't show the same trick twice. So, but I do have a shtick, and it was based on like a personal challenge, and I'll kind of give the clip notes of the story. So within the AMBF, that's one of the organizations I kind of call home because they're based out of Jersey. Shows are really easy to get to. Kent, the organization president you guys had on, is a phenomenal human and somebody who's been a mentor to me over my career. And so I'm always at AMBF events because I love supporting him. They're easy to get to for me, and they're very highly competitive too. So my wife had done her first show in May of 2021 with the AMBF. It was her first competition, and she did her bikini stage walk to a Backstreet Boys song. So then Kent, along with Frank, who's his house DJ there, is at all the events. They kind of dared me like, "Oh, you won't do a boy band routine next time you compete with us." I said, "Okay, bet." And so later that fall, I did a routine to Backstreet Boys, and it was a major hit. So then I've kind of been like doing boy band routines just for fun. So the next year I came back to an AMBF, I did like an NSYNC routine. So yeah, that's not to say I'm going to do that again, but that's been like a shtick for me. And I think it's because it's so different. My other routine that was fun, that was in my career, was 2020 Mr. America, the show that I won. I did it to Living in America by James Brown. So I feel like, especially with the classic guys, it's so within the niche to like pose to the slower, more stoic songs, or like, the two-way songs that have the very dramatic strikes. And like, that's cool. And those routines are awesome. I love them. I'm a happy, like, fun guy. So, I like doing something a little off the beaten path. So doing routines to like boy band songs or James Brown or something that's a bit more upbeat is just like exciting. And I like being different. So I would say that's probably like my favorite stage routines, because now people expect it of me in a certain respect, but it still kind of catches people off guard because they think classic physique, they're going to hear this like, this Hans Zimmer track, and then they hear Backstreet Boys, and it's just funny.
Gotcha. Okay, so second question is
fire answer. So
I only have two more. So the second question is 3 of your all-time favorite posers, if you had to pick them.
Oh boy. 3 of my all-time favorite posers.
Because we got to give a history lesson to these new guys to go search Google and YouTube and look up these guys.
Well, so of recent times, I mean, I know it's the easy answer, but Terrence Ruffin is a great pick there for sure. In yesteryear to that, and I know somebody that's definitely inspired a lot of posers coming up. Lee Labrada, is a very fantastic poser from the 80s and 90s. One more. Good Lord, this is tough. This is really tough. Man, I got to go with like Ed Corney. Like, if we're really going to give like a history lesson. So, Ed Corney was a famous, training partner and competitor at the time when Arnold was competing. And obviously Arnold and Franco Columbu kind of got a lot of the spotlights. They were winning a lot of these shows, but Ed Corney, man, you look up some of his old videos. He honestly was like a pioneer for a lot of the guys like Labrada and like nowadays, like Terrence Ruffin, like drawing inspiration from, guys that once were. He was doing a lot of the, classic routines before classic was even a thing, because it was just bodybuilding back then. But, that's just the thing. Classic physique is just an extension of bodybuilding. It's just within a specific criteria. So at the end of the day, classic is still bodybuilding. So I'll say Ed Corney for my last answer.
All right. And
man, people are running YouTube right now.
Google them.
And to end it on a very high note, you are clearly a guy with a lot of wisdom. So we asked this question to everyone who did this series, and it's, what advice would you have for any pro who's entering this championship series who may never have competed in the championship show, or have competed but not have had the success they wanted? So what is some advice you would give to them to get them geared up, get them motivated to go into these shows?
That's a tough one. And I think my advice would sort of stem back to my monologue from a few minutes back of make sure your systems and processes are in place to make sure you're doing your due diligence and doing your best as a bodybuilder, because at that championship level, people are leaving no stones unturned, and they're not They're not missing workouts. They're not missing meals. That all being said, do not let the rest of your life suffer for the fact that you are preparing for a championship show. Because whether you, in probably 99.9% of these cases, whether you win that championship show or not, of course, we're all trying to win. You know, your life may change a little bit, but if you go nose to the grindstone for that show and then sacrifice personal relationships or sacrifice your professional life within your business or whatever it is that you may do, what is it worth at the end of the day if you don't have who you are at the end of it? So yes, the systems and processes need to be in place to make sure that you're not missing workouts and not missing meals. Just like, think of it as like any good business, right? Because, you know, things are busy on a day to day. So you need to make sure you have those systems and processes in place so that you aren't missing your mark. But don't let whatever show it is or whatever endeavor it is take away from who you are as a person, because at the end of the day, and I feel like they can, you know, judges can see that in a subjectively judged sport, like the person you're presenting. So yes, you are presenting a physique with respect to the criteria, but on a subconscious and subliminal level, like, you're presenting yourself to the judges. So make sure you present your true self on stage.
Absolutely.
Hey, man,
I'm gonna tell you right now, Joe, nothing in my life has changed. I still come home after shows and pick up dog shit. I'm still waiting on some kind of sponsorship or endorsement, man. So nothing in my life has personally changed.
And in between prejudging and finals, I'll probably change a shitty diaper. So you know what? I totally understand it.
And just like that, man, that was amazing. Actually, you gave a lot of good nuggets and gems to everyone. So first and foremost, we want to thank you again for coming on. We finally got it together, and I think it's perfect timing. And until next time, guys, be out.
Peace.